there's a little bit of that feeling in. But I still feel like when we get to the Super Bowl, are we losing because there's so many games and because it's sort of been thinned out from a talent standpoint, and we're well into the salary cap era. It's not like the salary cap is a new thing, but it's almost like, do they feel like there's any great teams left anymore? I don't know if it's just sort of a 1 year, but we got to Super Bowl Sunday and I was kind of like, all right, here's another game, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel that way. And I'm hoping that was just a 1 year thing for a variety of factors, and I'll get back to feeling it. But it just feels like there is a lot right there. But it makes them money, and every standalone game, and every holiday game, and every holiday eve game becomes much more valuable than another game for Scott Hansen's call on Sundays. So I am with you. I still feel like it's the greatest game. I still feel like when we stop, here's how I'll know. Here's how I go. When we're in May and we're not living and dying by what's happening news-wise, when we're not waiting for June 1st to see what happens with A.J. Brown or Alvin Kamara or something, like that's when I'll feel like we've gone too far. We're still there, but I do want to grab the NFL sometimes and say, don't mess with a good thing. Stop messing with my Sunday 1 o'clocks too. That's another thing. You're taking too many away from that. So I understand where you're coming from. I feel that, and I'm hopeful that it doesn't go too far past the tipping point.
What's so funny about that, like everything you said is right, but I think the way you I haven't even put it in those terms. I thought that was fascinating, right? Because I listen, and I'll one of your coworkers at NFL Media, Greg Rosenthal, right? Like I love the NFL. Like I tell Greg this. I love them. I'm so obsessed with the minutia of the league. Like I'll listen to a 60-minute NFL podcast like today when I go to the gym. So like I'm not even on May 20th. I'm not even close to the point where I'm not thinking about what's going to happen on June 1st. When we'll get to that in a second, I'll ask you about A.J. Brown in a second. But just, I'm fascinated your opinion on this. And I think my opinion might surprise you based on what I just told you about the holiday slate. So the NFL is going to add more international games, right? The owners just voted on it. We're going to have 11, I think, next year, which includes the Jags extra one in London with the stadium thing in Orlando and in Jacksonville. I love the international games. I have like zero beef with it. I love to have a game early in the day. This is the one where people bitch and moan and whine and complain, Mike, where I actually don't get the beef. Your thoughts on the international games? Do you feel the same way about them as you do about the holiday slate? I love the international games.
Well, first of all, as somebody who is a part of pregame shows, when we do have the
different for you,
international
games,
well, the pregame show doesn't exist. Like we're home. I love sometimes being there on Sunday morning. It's like, oh, there's a game right now. But then it's like, hey, we're not, there's an Eagles-Giants game or something like that, whether it's MetLife or Philly, that I would have covered. And they go, well, we got an international game, so we're not sending crews to these games. And it's kind of like, so that's a downer for me personally. Now, I'm in the extreme minority when it comes to that as far as your audience and what they think about it right now. I do enjoy the Sunday game. I don't love the idea of now 18 weeks of that potentially. Or I guess it would be 16 weeks, 16 of the 18 in that every team would have an international game and every Sunday. And, we grew up on the pregame shows. We grew up on Andrea Kramer and in an empty stadium doing the
Sal
Good
Paolantonio.
Morning Boomer. Yeah. And Sal Pal, who's still out there doing. I love the joke. Sal Pal keeps talking about retirement. I'm like, dude, you're Hyman Roth. You've been dying of the same heart attack for 20 years. You're not retiring. I love Sal. He's still. And sometimes I'm doing I'm about to go live and I'm watching him because it's just I grew up watching this and now he's standing right next to me. There's still that pinch me moment for him. I do like the international games, but I like how it's been like 4 weeks right in the middle of the season, and then the international slate is over. We're now heading toward a point where there's going to be more of those, and there's going to be every single week. And I don't know. Will it change the flow of Sunday morning? You're watching from 9 a.m. Eastern or 9:30 a.m. Eastern all the way through midnight. Like that's a long slog for 18 weeks. So I keep going to the oversaturation point. I wish I could almost time machine it back to when I was a kid and the feel of I wasn't working back then. It was a different flow for me, obviously. But, I do enjoy the international games. I just can't believe we're heading to a point where it's going to be every single week of the season, but we'll see.
You better you bet on this Wednesday. Nick Kostos and you, Westwood One Sports, our guest, NFL Network insider, the very in shape Mike Garafolo on Twitter at his name at Mike Garafolo. Can we do a little lightning round here? Let's put your insider cap on. Let's talk some news in the NFL. June 1st, right around the corner. What is the percent chance? 100 can be the answer, or as close to 100 as you want it to be. That A.J. Brown is a New England Patriot in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, 90 to 95. Now, look, if it has been agreed to and put in a drawer and, do not open till June 1st, no one's told us that, right? And not that they would, but, you have these conversations with people who are like, no, we just, we made a run at it. Both sides did back in March. It didn't come to fruition. Now, at the time, New England's picks were on the back end of each round, right? So now that's going to change. Now it's like we don't know where this first, second, third round pick is going to be slotted next year because that season has to play out. So I think that complicates things a little bit. It makes the Patriots, especially in a draft that next year that everybody is saying is going to be so strong, a little bit more reluctant to say, hey, we're going to be parting with a high pick. So the Eagles got to come back and sort of reboot this thing. They did have conversations with the Rams. It got very close with the Rams. It got closer with the Rams than it got with the Patriots.
Would Devontae have been heading back in that trade, presumably?
I don't know about heading back or not a part of the Rams because I don't, that part I don't know. But I do know that he wouldn't have been on the Rams. So whether they would have had to release him or whatever, which is why I don't think it's going to be the Rams now, because now you're committed to Devontae. Now you've made a payment, or they had the guarantee in March that triggered, or whatever it was, roster bonus, if I'm recalling correctly, because it had to happen before that for the Rams. Otherwise, they would have been committed basically to him. There's also, and there's nothing to say that the Eagles can't say, well, we'll take on a certain amount of money to facilitate this now, because for the Rams, they're going to say, well, we're going to have to keep both. How are we going to pay both? We've got so much other stuff that we have to pay for as well. So, but in the meantime, too, there's the Puka Nacua factor, because at the time we didn't realize what was happening with Puka off the field, and we don't know for sure. We wish him the best. He's a great player. I love watching him. I think he's terrific. But how's that going to be a factor with the Rams moving forward? Hey, we may need something else at that position now. So I wouldn't be surprised if they at least have a conversation with Philly about it. I don't know that he winds up with the Rams. I still think it's more likely the Patriots, but the Eagles have to do something to create some leverage for the Patriots to think that they're not just bidding against themselves here. So that's the only complicating factor. So I put it at 90 to 95 that he's gone. Now, how he's going to, that's the other leverage, is how he's going to be able to say, well, can
I ask you this? Can I interject to ask you this? Because sure. What my follow is going to be, let's say A.J. Brown is not a New England Patriot.
Yeah.
So you gave us 5 to 10% chance that's not the case. Is there a chance he's back with the Eagles next year? Or is it, in your opinion, if it's not the Patriots, it's somebody else in like 30 seconds?
Yeah, I think it's still back with the Eagles, and because everything that they added.
Imagine that.
No, I can't. No, and I covered that team last year, saying all along the way that these two can't coexist. This is it. Like, there's no way you can bring both of them back. And obviously, they weren't trading the quarterback at this point. So I still think that he's gone. I still think most likely he's a Patriot. But it's May 20th, and we've got 11 more days till we really find out, huh?
Let's do like 30 seconds per, or as close as we can. I know some of these are a little complicated. I'm going to talk about in the next segment this Rashee Rice situation for the Chiefs, which is just like this. Someone's got to stop this guy from doing all this. Like, he seems like his decision making is very poor. Do we feel like, and he's going to serve 30 days of jail time, which has been triggered to do early because he violated his probation by smoking marijuana and testing positive on a drug test. Is there concern with the Chiefs that this could lead to additional NFL punishment for Rashee? They need him to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, doesn't I don't know. It doesn't sound like it, at least because. Frankly, the marijuana policy is not what it was when Josh Gordon was in the league, which Gordon was, yeah. Anyway, it's of all the things he's done, this is the least not offensive or criminal, right? So it just happened that it triggered based on everything else that had been agreed to previously. So the hope is that this is just a minor little blip, and hopefully he comes back healthy, comes back strong, and get himself back and not have any more slip ups.
Are you ready for this sentence? Will the Arizona Cardinals take care of Jacoby Brissett, who is holding out from the team?
Yeah. Take care of him? Yeah.
Well, like,
I mean,
how about this? Give him more guaranteed money than Gardner Minshew has to keep him happy, because he's probably going to be the week 1 starting quarterback.
Yeah, and incentives, right? Like, team and individual incentives to help make that happen too as well. Look, if you're, what's his number, 5.25 or something like this year, compared to the top, I mean, not even a tenth of the way to the top of the market. If you are a starting quarterback in the NFL, like there's a double digit, right? It's like 10 million plus that you should be at. And even that's low, right? But like, you can't sit there and say, if I am one of the 32 starting quarterbacks, then I'm going to make 5 million. So there'll be some kind of resolution, I think, in the relatively short term to get that done.
We have a hard 45 seconds for this one.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk for like that. So I'm just like defeating the purpose of me even saying that. I'm going to phrase the question this way, because I feel like unless he gets hurt, I mean this, I think it's 100%. What do you think the percent chance is Deshaun Watson is the week 1 starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in like 30 to 45 seconds? Right?
101. Yeah, I've
no matter what happens, as long as he's healthy, he's going to start.
I mean, if he looks horrendous in camp and preseason, right, which I don't think he will, but no, I've said, I think I phrased it back in March that he's in the pole position. Everything I heard out of the combine, Senior Bowl week, I remember talking to a guy and they were like, Deshaun Watson's going to start for this team. You guys know that, right? But